Hi, readers. Welcome back. I'm so glad that you're here at Goddess Garden Book Chat. This is for adults who love a good novel, regardless of the genre, the weirdness, the planet it takes us to, or the openness we find on the pages. I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm so glad you're a part of our book club. I want you to be comfortable, I want you to be welcome, and I want you to be aware. Topics discussed in this book club include everything from basement dungeons to other worlds. I read them all and I share my thoughts in a safe place. And I have been truly combing my libraries for some great stuff. So whether it's AM or PM, I'm so happy you're a part of the conversation. I invite you to my social pages. And if you've used my links before, I kind of didn't have them right, but I'm better now. I'm getting better every day. I do this for us as readers, as a part of the club. I'm striving to be my best self. And have you seen my new design techniques? For every book that we read, I have been using my mid journey to create some fantastic art because those are the things that these books conjure up in me. They really have me seeing this vision, and I wanted to share that vision along with the books. Now, my reviews are always scripted to cover all of my thoughts, and I don't want to leave anything out, and I also don't want to stray too far off topic because I could just go on and on and on. I love some of the stuff I read. So I use a script to sort of keep this together, keep it concise, keep our time limits respectful, that kind of thing. Um, I also intend to learn better editing because you heard my theme song, and I know that there's a better way to incorporate music into my videos, but I just don't know how to do that yet. So bear with me, everybody, because some stuff I know how to do, and if you've seen my book journey, you know that I have music embedded there, but I didn't do the heavy lifting on that. Canva did. So shout out to Canva. Thank you for helping a girl out because I didn't know. So yeah, that part. So you're gonna hear my theme song at the same time you hear me talking because I got it like that. That's what cell phones are for, right? At least that's what they are. That's what they're for me. So deal with it. There's something out there for everyone to enjoy because I'm having the time of my life. And I'm hoping that as we journey as a club into some of these books, that it lets you find some things out there that you want to share and talk about. So join me on Discord because that's where our club has book chats about some of the great stuff. Now, with no further ado, I want to tell you what I found for us today. I am excited to share Spheres of Torment by David Paul Bishop. It's narrated by Wolfgang Milliken. I'm sorry. Let me try that again because I want you to get this right. It's narrated by Wolfgang Milliken. The book is 12 chapters and it's 186 pages. It was released in July 2022, and I read the book in August of 2024. So truly, I just finished this book and I wanted to share it. Um, I picked this book up. I own it. It is part of my Audible library. But I chose this book because of the narrator. I was a fan of Wolfgang Melliken from another book that I had enjoyed. And so I decided I wanted to hear some other books that he expressed his style and his way of telling stories. And I stumbled across this particular book and I bought it. Let me share the synopsis so you can get into it with me. Ever since moving into the haunted house in Devlin, Georgia, Corbin has been having strange dreams. Every time he falls asleep, he finds himself drawn into a world of nightmares called the Winterland. Each night, his curiosity lures him a little further from safety of his own reality, but he is about to discover that sometimes when you walk into a nightmare, it can be hard to walk out again. And this is an audio enhanced drama, so there are sound effects, and the tonality of what you find in the Winterland is all a part of the experience of listening to this book. When I think about this book and I think about what really was the main thing that I got from it, it had to do with what awaits you in another realm. Um, no shade to the pace of the audiobook. The pace of the story, but the first few chapters that I enjoyed played more toward creepy. I got the impression I was going to get into some really creepy, horror like environment when I listened to this story. But it quickly sort of changed and it really turned out to be a thrill ride. And let me give you some parameters on what I mean by that. This book gives you the sense that as this child Corbin goes into these dreams, bad things happen to him when he's on the other side, so to speak. But as I read it, it was more the thrill of going to the other side, returning back, and then trying to deal with both the people in the real world and the people in the Winterland. I go a little deeper in how I felt about this book when it comes to Paul's house because this is an inherited home that Corbin and his family move into. The grandfather in the story who owned the house was institutionalized and later died, and it was assumed that he was having, uh, let's call it dementia, when he was telling the stories about what was happening to him inside the house. And I also look very closely at the father because he lived with his father taking him through the torment he was experiencing because of the house. And what does dad do? He tells his wife and kids, "We just got a house. Grandpa died. Let's go move in." And what I cannot fathom for the life of me is when they start to see signs of what was happening in their son, they turned this ridiculous blind eye of ignorance and they will not pacify this child's willingness to discuss it or talk to him about his withdrawal, what's happening to him. What they're encouraging is, you know what your problem is you need more friends. You need to get out more. You need to go out and play. And the kids in the neighborhood are feeding off the mythology, or the mythology is told to them about the house that is the spooky house. And so what he gets in trying to pursue friendships is, "Oh, you live in that creepy house. Have you seen any ghosts yet?" And, as a kid, you want to confide. These are supposed to be your friends. Maybe they'll understand. Yeah, they don't. Now, there's something else, and there's this the key is the sacrifices to glory. I'm going to let you delve into that, but that's something that you really need to pay attention to because that's sort of the glue of this story. But again, I can't get past the ignorance of everyone when there was clearly a problem with Paul's house, and we're just going to act like it doesn't happen. You see Corbin go from light to dark. And let's just talk about the characters. The parents have issues of the other realm when they sleep. And Corbin is aware of this, but he can't share that. The friends that he has, overall, they're very accepting, except one. And that person's reasons have little to do with Corbin per se, and it has everything to do with jealousy. Then there's Klein. I hope I'm spelling that right because that's how his name was spelled. And again, I have the audiobook, so I'm phonetically spelling it, but I believe the character's name is Klein. Very, very interesting. Very interesting character that exists in the Winterland. They're the prisoners of the Winterland, and then there are other beings and creatures in the Winterland. And when I talk about creatures, it's a little unclear as to whether or not you're dealing with beings that are somewhat alien, or if you're talking about horribly disfigured teenagers that are caged and begging to be free, because that's also in the Winterland. Definitely read this, you'll get a deeper sense of what I'm talking about. The whole story takes place in Virginia. That's where the house is. Beautiful countryside, very lush and very green. But also, it's very dark, just based on the story that you're reading. But I got to tell you, for me, the story was a little too wordy where it could have been more action. I think the way it was written is to give you this description of what it's like to go to the Winterland or to be in a community and being isolated more and more because of the terror you feel could have been displayed differently with the action that could have been in place of all these descriptions. Um, it was slow when it didn't need to be. It really could have stood the boasting of injecting a little terrifying edge to it, but it just never quite panned out. And maybe that's because I went into the book expecting one thing and getting another. The quest for the spheres is important, but I wasn't invested enough in this quest where I decided I wanted to get the second book. Um, it was kind of gross. It's vivid, but it's not clear, if that makes sense. So it just wasn't something that grabbed me. And it kept making me think of a book I read by Joe Hill called Nosferatu. We're going to review that in a while. I'm looking forward to talking about that book. But in comparison to these young men who wind up in a different realm, and it is something dark and dangerous, and you have the danger of being trapped over there, I think Joe Hill did such a beautiful job of not taking you through the wordiest avenues of describing what it's like in this other realm. He put this child in these circumstances. Sucks to be you. This is what's going to happen. And I appreciated that from a reader's standpoint. It makes it so much more exciting. So it didn't inspire me, but it may inspire another reader or club member out there. This may be what you're looking for. So again, I never yuck your yum, and I'm never going to give you spoilers. This may be what you're looking for. So let's get to the rating system of what I came up with for this read. I'll quickly go over the rating system again so you can see where I landed. Number one is the slow clap. Number two is snaps to you. Number three is an applause. Four is a straight up cheers for this work. And number five is an ovation. I gave this book an applause, a number three rating, simply because I think there is value in the storytelling. It's it's somewhat superficial. I wouldn't say don't read it, but it wasn't necessarily my cup of tea. So if this is a journey that you want to take, let me know how you feel. Share with me what you see in this work that draws you to think of it as a higher rating or a better way of looking at it. I own the book. I'm happy to go back and check this out again if need be. And you may tell me something that inspires me to read book two. Who knows? But right now, I'm not loving it. So I'm going to go ahead and close out this review. Again, thank you so much for joining me. It means the world to me. Let's leave with a focus on what books are out there, waiting for every single person that belongs to this group and listening to this podcast. Now, close this chapter with a bookmark, and until we meet again, I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye, friends.